The ongoing FIFA Women's World Cup, co-hosted by Australia and New Zealand, is drawing to a closer with the third-place playoff being played today, leading to the tournament finale tomorrow. Even before the mega event comes to a fitting finale at Sydney's Stadium, Australia, the latest edition of the World Cup has been billed as the most successful women's event in the history of the game. In the words of FIFA President Gianni Infantino, the competitive brand of football dished out this time has been instrumental in changing the world's perception towards women athletes. Good morning, I'm Sarah Sapsanamma. Let's begin with the top stories of the hour. Investigations into Lalita Niwas land scam enters final stage. Preparations underway to acquit former Prime Ministers Madhav Kumar Nepal and Baburam Bhattarai. The CIB launches second round of investigations into fake Bhutanese refugee scam as additional 18 victims file their complaints. US President Joe Biden and the leaders of South Korea and Japan agree to deepen military ties as they make strongest joint condemnation of Chinese aggression in the South China Sea. And co-host Australia taking on Sweden in the third-place playoff at Brisbane's Suncorp Stadium. The match slated to begin at 1:45 p.m. Nepal time later today. The Central Investigation Bureau of Nepal Police has reached the final stage of its investigation into Lalita Niwas land scam. The CIB had reopened the investigation as District Attorney's Office had refused to move ahead with the case 2 years ago. Meanwhile, in the span of almost 2 months, CIB has nabbed 23 individuals alleged of involvement in the scam, including Min Bahadur Gurung, the operator of popular supermarket chain Bhatbatini. 5 of the arrested received bail during this period, while the CIB still struggles to arrest political leaders who have been alleged of involvement, despite the Supreme Court's clearance on keeping any individual in judicial custody, irrespective of the individual's authority, if their involvement was suspected at any level during the illegal transaction of the land. In the meantime, the CIB has been alleged of leniency in case of political leaders, as it has refrained from arresting former Prime Minister duo Madhav Kumar Nepal and Baburam Bhattarai and former Minister Bijay Kumar Gachadar. The Bureau is to submit its report along with recommendations to the Government Attorney's Office tomorrow, even as it is yet to finalize the list of defendants in the case. The Government Attorney's Office is required to file a case by 29th of August this month based on the report by the CIB. Nepal police have waged the second round of investigations into fake Bhutanese refugee scam. The next round of probe has started as additional victims have filed their complaints. The Central Investigation Bureau has waged the second round of probe as 18 more victims came in contact with the Nepal police to file their complaints against a nexus of Asians whom they had paid large sum of money to land on the US soil. Prior to this, 113 victims had filed their complaints as the nexus of 16 individuals, including top-ranked government officials, are in the judicial custody for investigations. Those in judicial custody include former Home Minister Balkrishna Khand, former Deputy Prime Minister Top Bahadur Maji, and Secretary Teknaran Pandey. The 18 victims from Lamjung, Chitwan, Sunsari, Sindhupalchok and Lalitpur have now filed their complaints against the alleged culprits, saying that they had paid between 2 to 4 million rupees. They have also said that they paid the money to agents Sanu Bhandari, Keshav Dalal and Ram Sharan Kesi. Meanwhile, Pratik Thapa, the son of former Home Minister Ram Bahadur Thapa, and Neeraj Rai, son of Thapa's security advisor Indrajit Rai, who are also alleged in the case, are still at large. Kathmandu metropolis, despite being the federal capital, is fast turning into a concrete jungle with its unplanned and haphazard urbanization. The landless squatters residing by the riverside of Kathmandu Valley poses the biggest challenge, in fact, in the metropolis's drive for a well-managed capital city. To make matters worse, the metropolis even lacks categorical data on the number of landless squatters living within the valley. Efforts have been made in the past to deal with the issue of the landless squatters. It was in the year 2012 that the government led by Prime Minister Baburam Bhattarai had tried to manage the issue of landless squatters. The plans in the face of massive politicization at the time did not materialize. Kathmandu Mayor Balin Shah last year also attempted to evict the landless squatters from the river banks at Thapa Thali. However, due to lack of support from the federal government and the aggressive protests launched by squatters foiled Mayor Balin Shah's plans. Kathmandu Metropolis had also struck an agreement with the National Land Commission in August last year to settle the issue of landless squatters residing in Bagmati, Bishnumati and Manohara rivers. As per the agreement, the Commission had issued a public notice directing all landless squatters to get themselves registered. However, the Election Commission, citing Election Code of Conduct, directed to halt data collection works. After the election was over, a team from Metropolis tried to forcibly vacate the settlements on the river banks that was met with stern protest. Meanwhile, Bagmati Civilization Development Committee has claimed that there are some 3,496 families living at the Bagmati corridor. In the meantime, a meeting between the federal government and the metropolis has also agreed to manage the genuine landless squatters and sending back the fake squatters to their home districts. However, a final decision on the location to station the genuine landless squatters has not been reached, while the 5 concrete buildings made in the capital's Ichangunarayan to accommodate the landless squatters remain unused. In this context, in our Public Voice segment, we've asked people in several provinces what should be done to solve the issue of landless squatters. Let's take a look at what they had to say.
हामीलाई चाहिँ राज्यले चाहिँ कर लिएर लालपूर्जा दिए हुन्थ्यो र हामी सुख शान्तिसँग बस्न पाए हुन्थ्यो।
सुकुम्बासीहरू जस्तो गरिबहरू दुखीहरू छन् उनीहरूलाई चाहिँ लालपूर्जा दिए भने उनीहरुको मन खुसी हुन्छ।
वास्तविक सुकुम्बासीहरूलाई आयोग मार्फत समस्या समाधान गर्नुपर्ने हुन्छ।
सरकारले त हामीलाई त लालपूर्जा दिएर राम्रो गर्दै हुन्छ।
भूमिहीन व्यक्तिलाई यथाशीघ्र अहिले जग्गा उपलब्ध गराइदिनु पर्छ।
सरकारले हामीलाई अब कतिचोटी भइसक्यो नाप्नी ओर्नी यताउति गरेर गइरहनु भएको सकेसम्म हामीलाई लालपूर्जा छिट्टै आइदे हुन्थ्यो।
वास्तविक सुकुम्बासीहरूलाई पूर्जा वितरण होस् र आफ्नो आसेपासे आफ्नो कार्यकर्ताहरूलाई वितरण नहोस्।
स्थानीय तहले चाहिँ सहजीकरण गर्न जरुरी छ।
वास्तविक सुकुम्बासी हो कि हैन र पहिचान गर्नुपर्छ। वार्डले
सानो घर बस्नको लागि चाहिँ व्यवस्था गर्नुपर्छ।
तिनै तहको सरकारले चाहिँ एकिङ डाटा निकाली अनि त्यसको उचित किसिमको व्यवस्थापन गरी सीमित एउटा कुनै क्षेत्र अथवा ठाउँमा उनीहरुको व्यवस्थापन गरेको भए यसको समाधान हुन्थ्यो।
जसको जग्गा धेरै छ त्यो जग्गालाई चाहिँ अतिक्रमण गरेर त्यही जग्गा चाहिँ दिँदाखेरि समस्या समाधान हुन्छ।
Welcome back. It's time now for our segment Public Pulse, where you text us with your opinion. The question is, why has the government failed to control inflation? Your options are A, feeble monitoring, B, market out of control, and C, dependency on import. The voting is on. Type NEWS, select your option A, B or C and send it to 34001 to share your opinion with us. West Africa's main bloc has agreed on a D-Day for possible military intervention to restore democracy in Niger after generals toppled and detained President Mohamed Bazoum last month. The Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS, has agreed to activate a standby force as a last resort if diplomatic efforts fail. The defense chiefs met to fine-tune details of the military operation to restore Bazoum if ongoing negotiations with the coup leaders fail. Military officers deposed Bazoum on July 26th and have defied calls from the UN, ECOWAS and others to reinstate him. Most of ECOWAS's 15 member states are prepared to contribute to the joint force, except Cape Verde and those also under military rule like Mali, Burkina Faso and Guinea. Bazoum, whose 2021 election was a landmark in Niger's troubled history, has been held with his family at the president's official residence since the coup, and international concern is growing over his conditions in detention. Niger's coup was seen by the international community and ECOWAS as one too many. In addition to threatening a military invasion, the bloc has also imposed severe economic and travel sanctions. Niger has a strategic importance beyond West Africa because of its uranium and oil reserves and role as a hub for foreign troops involved in the fight against armed groups linked to Al-Qaeda and ISIL. US President Joe Biden and the leaders of South Korea and Japan have agreed to deepen military and economic ties and make their strongest joint condemnation yet of dangerous and aggressive behavior by China in the South China Sea. The Biden administration held the summit with the leaders of the main U.S. allies in Asia, South Korean President Yoon Suk-yeol and Japanese Prime Minister Fumio Kishida, in a bid to project unity in the face of China's growing power and nuclear threats from North Korea. In a joint summit statement, the three countries committed to consult promptly with each other during crisis and to coordinate responses to regional challenges, provocations and threats affecting common interests.
We're doubling down on information sharing, including on the DPRK's missile launches and cyber activities, strengthening our ballistic missile defense cooperation, and critically, we've all committed to swiftly consult with each other in response to threats to any one of our countries from whatever source it occurs.
Biden said the meeting was not about China, but that China obviously came up. Meanwhile, Canadian Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has said the federal government would be there in the coming months and years to help communities rebuild the terrible losses as the country continued to battle its worst ever wildfire season with more than 1,000 active fires burning across the nation. Speaking after a visit to an evacuation center for Northwest Territories residents affected by wildfires, Trudeau paid tribute to first responders, police and volunteers for the way they have stepped up, calling the way Canadians were looking out for each other truly extraordinary. The province of British Columbia declared a state of emergency as firefighters battled a wildfire raging in the hills and mountains above the town of West Kelowna, forcing thousands of evacuations. Experts say climate change has exacerbated the wildfire problem. Much of Canada has been seen abnormally in dry conditions. Around 65% of the Northwest Territories' 46,000 population looks set to be evacuated. That is all for the moment. Thank you for watching. Bye for now.